citizens of the Nigerverse. Has anyone ever told you have such pretty eyes? All right. But today is Valentine's Day, of course, or so. Because it's Valentine's Day, first of all, happy Valentine's Day to you all, whether you have a significant other or whether you're spending it alone, spending it with your loved ones, and so what have you. Show some love to somebody today. But also, before I forget, because I know I'm going to, happy birthday, YouTube! YouTube is officially 20 years old. Not old enough to drink just yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. But nevertheless, now that those are out of the way, it's time to do something a little different. I figured, you know what, this year we're going to do something a little bit different for Valentine's Day. Hey, so, that title that you're reading, which I admittedly, as I'm filming this, still haven't decided what the exact title is going to be, but it's going to be something related to what we're talking about. But yes, you are reading that title right. We are going to be delving into some Reddit stories when it comes to Valentine's Day. We're turning into a Reddit channel, baby. Admittedly, Reddit-based content is something I wanted to do for a little bit, and admittedly, it is because of other people doing Reddit-related content, especially Smosh. Their Reddit series is phenomenal, of course. But I'm going to be reading some Reddit stories, kind of reacting to them, and kind of talking about them. So I pulled from a few different subreddits, that being relationship advice, relationships, and am I the asshole? So we're going to go through, and we're going to talk about what we read. It's going to get a little crazy, so buckle in. Alright, so our first story here comes from Am I the Asshole? And what we're going to do is we're going to read through the post. So we're going to read through the post. We're going to read a few comments, and then I'm going to give my take. So this first one is, am I the asshole for standing my ground with a crazy mother-in-law? So let's get into it. My husband and I are expecting our first baby in June this year. It is the first grandchild on both sides of the family. My mother-in-law was always a bit crazy prior to me getting pregnant, but seems to have gone up a notch now. She has said things like, I can't wait to tell people I'm going to be a mom again. Told someone I was pregnant and they doubted her, so she reassured them by saying, no, look at how fat she's getting, while I was standing beside them, and made a complete song and a dance about how she needed to be the first person to buy our baby clothes, and is going home from the hospital outfit. The list goes on about how she's amazing and no one will ever birth children like she did. What really tipped me over the edge recently was to do with our scan of the baby. For context, we live in the UK, and you are provided two ultrasound scans, one at 12 weeks and another at 20 weeks. They will usually print 3/4 pictures of the scan for you to take, but this is ones they chose, and you are given what you are given. When we went to visit, I had shown the first 12-week scan, and she demanded to keep it. I explained that as it's a free scan with the NHS, we only get a few, and she can't keep it as it is special to us. I did, however, take a photocopy of it to give to her. This is no longer good enough for the 20-week scan. Now she's calling me and telling my husband he needs to bring her one of the scanned photos, as it's her grandchild too. I am now fed up having to explain to my husband how this woman makes me feel horrible calling me fat, and now demanding that she gets one of our scans that really means a lot to me. He doesn't get it and ends up in a fight. Am I the asshole for telling her that I do appreciate she is excited about my child, but to back off and it's our child, not hers? So, to kind of go through a few of the comments here, this kind of just a bot kind of explaining what the subreddit is about. Pretty much to kind of give the context of it, people post their stories on Am I the Asshole, and usually there's a verdict reached. For the most part, usually he not the asshole or not the a-hole. There's also the ones for asshole. There's ones for no one's an asshole, or there's some for everyone sucks here. But this one, the verdict is not the a-hole. And to read a couple comments. Not the asshole. Your mother-in-law is off the wall. You and husband need to set up boundaries quickly, or it will become worse. When the baby arrives, she is going to act like she is the mother with regard to clothes, etc. Tell mother-in-law you have already bought things and immediately hand the clothes back to her. Your husband needs to protect you from mother-in-law for both your health and sanity. Do not tell her when you are in labor. Do not tell her what hospital you are going to. Be prepared to tell her no when she demands to be in the living room with you. No more scans for mother-in-law. This is your medical procedure. I suspect she will just go around and show everyone the scan. By the way, the comment about you being fat is disgustingly and shows no respect for you. If your husband won't stop mother-in-law, you need to develop a shiny spine and tell no when needed. Do not take any crap from her. Do not let her just trap your baby. Be vocal and don't be afraid to protect baby and you from mother-in-law. This one says, not the asshole, and if it's leading to a fight, you probably need to set boundaries with your husband too. An anatomy scan is a medical record. Parenthood is actually a legal obligation, and grandparenthood is a privilege. They are not the same. Every moment she wrecks is a moment you will never get back. There's no do-overs with babies. It doesn't matter if he gets it or not. What matters is that she's interfering in your autonomy. And honestly, healthy people don't try to take limited prints of babies away from the baby's mother. I'll just read one more here. Not the asshole, but you need to realize that your issue isn't between you and your mother-in-law, it's between you and your husband. If you and your husband don't get on the same page now, all the boundaries in the world won't solve the problem. So, I think those comments that I read there kind of sum up my general feeling. This is nuts. That's now, granted, Reddit is known for having fake stories sometimes. I'm not saying this story is fake, but we're gonna take it at face value. Just something I figured I'd put out there, just pretty much to let it be known, and kind of just for the sake of saying it. Essentially, I forgot the exact phrase there. Pretty much just to put it out there. Some of these can be fake sometimes, but we're gonna take it for the sake of the read and for our thoughts. We're gonna take it at face value, and act as though these are real. Oh, and it more than likely is. But nevertheless, that being said, the mother-in-law definitely is overstepping here. This is crazy. Like it's one thing for your parents to want to be involved in your child's life, and I obviously I'd want my child, if I get married, have a kid eventually, I'd definitely want my parents to be involved in my child's life. I want them to get to know my child, to get to know their grandparents, obviously. But everybody is right. There should be some boundaries, and there absolutely should be moments where you say, no, this is crazy, you're overstepping. Trying to force you to give them a photocopy of the scan, and then to not be satisfied, or I should say, trying to force OP to give her a scan of the original, I should say, or to give the original scan and not accept a photocopy. That's the wording I wanted to go for there. My goodness. That is ludicrous. Like, there should be some hard boundaries set, and the fact that judging by this, it seems the husband is kind of passive here. I get it; it's his mother, but sometimes you gotta be firm. You can't there's a lot of lines being crossed, and I get it, not wanting conflict. But the mother-in-law is gonna overstep like this, and nothing's gonna be done. Like some people were saying, what's gonna happen when the baby's born? She's gonna want to be super duper controlling. Now, granted, my brother has children, and thankfully, my parents weren't like that with his children, aka their grandchildren. But this is a huge overstep, and yeah, like, honestly, if you want, and honestly, OP, if you're watching this, which you probably aren't, if you want to go no contact with the mother-in-law over this, I think that'd be understandable. Well, because this is crazy. This is a huge overstep, and firm boundaries need to absolutely be set. But now let's move on to the next story. And I decided to only do 3 here because if I'm gonna make this like a regular series, I feel like 3 is a good like primer. But this one comes from relationship advice. Excuse me. Oops, didn't mean to right click there. But it started with crumbs in the bed. Now I, 26 female, resent my partner, 31 male, for working from home. Oh man, relationship advice because I kind of gave a little backstory. And the other stuff, right? Relationship advice is obviously a little self-explanatory advice for your relationship. So, I, 26 female, work in healthcare, meaning long shifts on my feet and over an hour of commuting each day. My partner, 31 male, of 4 years, is a software engineer who works from home. When I leave for work at 5:30 a.m., he's in bed. When I come home at 5:30 p.m., he's in bed. And when I finally crawl into bed at 9:30 p.m., exhausted, there are crumbs in the sheets. I repeatedly asked him to stop eating in bed because it's gross, uncomfortable, and not great for his mental health. He agrees, says he'll stop, but he never does. The sheets have stains, and there are wrappers under the bed. He denies eating in bed, but the evidence is right there. The tipping point was the other night. I asked him to get out of bed so we could change the sheets because there was salsa verde smeared with chips in the bed. He said he was too tired and was just going to sleep. It was 8 p.m. Did I really have to beg for him to get out of bed so I can clean up his mess that I was clearly upset about? At first, it was just annoying. Now it's turned into something bigger. I can't ignore the growing resentment I feel, not just about the crumbs, but about our entire dynamic. I work way harder, make way less, and come home to see him having spent the entire day in the same spot. He has an hour-long lunch break every day and doesn't use that time to do any chores. I know it's not fair to compare jobs, but it's hard not to feel frustrated when my life feels so much more exhausting. I try to be understanding. He has ADHD, and I know hyperfocus can be a barrier, but I'm struggling. And I feel unheard, and the resentment is building. How do I get him to take this seriously? How do I bring this up in a way that actually leads to change? Is it unfair for me to expect him to pick up slack while working from home because that's what I would do in his position? And so normally in the other Reddit channels, they do the update afterwards, but I heard it's there. I might as well read it. So update. I made this unclear in the post, but he isn't sleeping in bed all day. He's working from 9:30 to 5 from bed all day. He has a nice desk set up, but doesn't use it. 2, he is my person and shows up for me in other ways. Very romantic, words of affirmation, dances in the kitchen, sort of love, which makes it hard. Is this him being a slob? Is this mental illness? How can we move forward with this? And 3, we both have depression and are on meds. He is also on medication for ADHD. So let's get into some comments here. This one says, and this is quoting, he denies eating in bed, but the evidence is right there. So when you point out the evidence, what does he say? What is his explanation? And for how chips and salsa are all over the bed if he's not eating in there? And the OP responded, after I point out the evidence, he says something like, just for a little bit, or something like that. Lies until he gets caught. Read this comment. He can use post-it notes to remember chores, and frankly, I would make up the couch or another room and stay there. He needs to see how this is affecting you or experience it. ADHD is not an excuse. Everyone since the beginning of time has had some issue. It is not an excuse. And this last one I'm going to read here says, I have ADHD, and in my opinion, this isn't that. Do we have a hard time doing work or chores sometimes? Absolutely. Is an excuse to completely disrespect our partner? Absolutely not. If he's in bed by 5:30 p.m., there is much more going on here, but this isn't due to ADHD. Now, here's what I'll say. For starters, I admit, I'll be fully honest, I do eat in bed sometimes. I know it's not really a good habit, but I do the majority of my eating at my desk here when I sometimes eat like breakfast or lunch and or dinner, or I'll find somewhere to eat that isn't necessarily my bed. But sometimes I do eat in bed, like sometimes like a snack or something like that. But I also clean up as well. Like I take the trash and put it in the say like the wrapper and stuff. Put it in the trash. It's crazy how he can't even do that, and but that on its own is bad. But then to almost gaslight, I don't know if I want to use the term gaslight. I say yeah to an extent, but it's a kind of it almost feels he's definitely disrespectful to OP here, and the fact that they've talked about it, and she stressed her concerns about out finding the food and trash and the wrappers in bed to the point where he doesn't even want to get up so they can clean it clean the sheets hey if you're home you got an hour long lunch break, hey throw the sheets in the wash, get some new sheets, he's clean off the bed, and for the time being catch up on some chores. You work from home so you can do that, but the fact that he's not even willing to do that and almost trying to flip this in a way, hey, is that's definitely a red flag. Like it's one thing to be kind of messy and slobbish and stuff like that, and that's a red flag for a lot of people, and of course that's very very understandable. But to then and disrespect your partner and kind of not take their feelings to consideration, and even if you don't necessarily agree with their feelings, and it's almost being dismissive of OP's feelings, that's pretty bad. He may be, as you said here, he may be romantic, may show up for you in other way, his words of affirmation and stuff like that. But stuff like this is I feel like stuff like this you really shouldn't ignore. So, do I think this is grounds for a breakup? At this point, I would say probably, because you stressed it to him multiple times. He's still doing the same thing, and I think it might be time. I truly think it might be time to reconsider what we're doing here, and yeah, I imagine and working from leaving at 5:30 a.m., having to go, not getting it home and or getting home maybe after doing other stuff. Okay, she gets back at 5:30 p.m. That's 12 hours, and finally calling to bed at 9:30. That means obviously she's doing other stuff for the 4 hours. Having doing all that, being exhausted, the chores that he's not doing, and being tired and finding the food and stuff. That's got to be frustrating, and that's got to be annoying. And also, with kind of relating it to myself, I sleep in my bed alone. But having sleeping in a bed uh, that you who share it with someone else and doing this type of stuff, that's yeah, no, that's a pretty red flag. And like I said, it I'm sure if not for being slobbish in this way, not cleaning up after himself, of and the disrespect of it all, I think it might be time to reconsider the relationship. And I think this is the trap a lot of people fall into, where they they see these bad things, these kind of red flags for the significant other, but stay or try to hold on because of kind of the length of the relationship, or because they try to hold on to the good things. Now, if the good things outweigh the bad things, then I think you can work it out. But in cases like this, it might be time to reconsider. But that's just me. Definitely good luck to you, OP, in that situation. This last one here. Now, I did originally have another story, but by the time I went to read it here, it was deleted. So that kind of sucks. So this one I'm gonna be reading completely blind, I kind of read. I think as I read the titles for the other ones, didn't really read the text itself, but this one is gonna be almost completely blind. Excuse me. This comes from relationships. Subreddit, not relationship advice, just relationships. So I imagine kind of something similar to relationship advice in terms of what the subreddit is about. But we're gonna read it and we're gonna go through it. I, 27 female, and my boyfriend, 28 male, Luke, who have been together for 2 years, and he wants us to move in together at his place. But for me, that's impossible. What can I do? Luke Skywalker, perhaps. But anyway, let's see what's going on here. I, 27 female, and my boyfriend, 28 male, Luke, have been together for 2 years, and he wants us to move in together at his place. But for me, that's impossible. English is not my first language, so sorry for any mistakes. Which I see that comment a lot. I get it because as some people are the grammar police, but at the same time, I've seen worse. So you're good, OP. But anyway, he lives in a rented one-bedroom apartment in the city, where I live on the outskirts in a safe neighborhood. The house I live in is a two-story house split in half, while my best friend, 26 female K, and her daughter, 4 female B, or split in half with my best friend K and her daughter B. Okay. We each have separate entrances, and the only thing we share is the yard. But on the ground floor, there is an interior door that connects both sides, which is always unlocked. Luke hates that B comes into my part of the house regularly for any reason, and that K leaves B with me when she has to go out for appointments, shopping, etc. She always checks me first to make sure I'm available. I don't mind this at all. I love B, and I enjoy spending time with her. For context, both K and I work from home, and B goes to daycare in the mornings. Luke hasn't liked B ever since one morning when she came into the kitchen while we were having breakfast and ate the pancakes I had made for him. He got really mad and started yelling at her, saying that those were his and that she had no right to be in my part of the house. I stepped in and kicked him out because I don't tolerate anyone talking to B like that. He left and ignored me for 2 days, and when we finally talked, he said I couldn't prioritize K and B forever and that B should stay on her side of the house. I got mad and told him that he was the adult in the situation, and that if he had just waited 5 more minutes, I would have made him new pancakes. The argument dragged on until he finally apologized to me. Me, B, and K, even though he was clearly forced to. Now to the present. And Luke asked me if I wanted to move in with him because his lease is up in 2 months. I agreed since our relationship has been good overall, but I assumed he meant moving in with me since I don't pay rent here and we have more space. That's when another fight started. He said he would only move in if I locked the interior door from my side and distanced myself from K and B, which I refused to do. He left a few hours ago, angry, and now I don't know what to do. So TLDR, my boyfriend wants me to move in with him, but in a rental because he hates my bestie's child. Okay, so sorry, a little bit there. I'm gonna read from the edit. Edit. I didn't expect so many responses in such a short time. Here are the answers to some of the questions I've seen. Thank you. I got back together with him because our relationship has had more good days than bad. It's not that easy to find someone who accepts this living situation. We didn't have this issue in the first year. It only started in the past year. I'm not going to move out of this house just because he wants me to, because I can't distance myself from K and B. When we've had parties in our yard, he's never had any issues with B or K, K, or other friends and kids. These problems only come up when we're alone. Regarding the financial aspect, I don't think he's using me because his salary is only slightly lower than mine. Aside from the pancake incident and a few other arguments about K and B, our relationship has been really good overall. B can't reach the upstairs area where the bedrooms are. I have a childproof gate that opens at 1.5 meters, so she's not tall enough to unlock it. Whenever the door between our homes is open, both Kay and I get an alert on our phones. We installed this after I spent hours looking for B in the wrong part of the house. Luke knew about my living situation before we even went on our first date. We talked for a month before meeting because he was away for work in another city, and he was okay with that. He knew that I don't want to leave this house for anything in the world. Unfortunately, I can't have children. I was in a car accident 7 years ago and had to be sterilized to survive, so you can understand why I consider B to be my child. Luke has an 8-year-old niece and a 10-year-old nephew with whom he gets along perfectly. Luke doesn't want to have children, although he said he had nothing against other kids when I told him about B. The house is in both our names. Kay used to use part of B's father's life insurance. He died before B was born, and I've received various work bonuses that I saved up, as well as a bank loan that I'm still paying. I hope it's more clear now. The post is locked, so that means new comments cannot be posted, but that is alright because we are not going to leave a comment. So I'm gonna read through a few of these here. A man who starts shouting at a 4-year-old child he doesn't know is not a nice man. There's that. This next one is red flags. He got really mad and started yelling at her, saying that those were his. He left and ignored me for 2 days. He said he would only move in if I distanced myself from K and B. This is a man with jealousy and anger issues, and you deserve better than a grown adult that yells at a kid over pancakes. He engages in silent treatment and then tells you to distance yourself from your best friend, 2 tactics of abusive partners. Don't move in and dump him. And I'll read this last one here. No, you need to not take him back after he yelled at B. So, yikes. Yikes. Kind of, I do like that in a way, this story and the previous one kind of go hand in hand because they're both about, are you going to overlook red flags for the sake of good qualities for a person? And judging by what OP has said here, it sounds like she describes it as Luke and her having a good relationship. That being said, though, him yelling at a child over pancakes that would take 5 minutes to cook. I've made pancakes plenty of times. I love pancakes. I might make some tomorrow. I don't know. Oh, pancakes do not take that long to make. Like, pancakes are very delicious, yes, but pancakes do not take long to make. A few minutes at most. To cook up the pancake to fry it up on the pan or whatever. Or can you oven cook pancakes? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, they don't take that long to cook. But him hating that child. Now, the way OP has described it, apparently he doesn't hate other children. He hates that child. And the thing is yeah, maybe B does some things that might be a little bit annoying. But guess what? She's 4. She's a toddler. Of course. That's how toddlers are. That's how kids are. They can be a little annoying sometimes. But to have that amount of hatred towards a child, to yell at her, tell her to stay on her side of the house, I was like, excuse me, this is someone that's coming in, someone that's not even living there. They've been together for 2 years. There's now, I kind of get that aspect as well. 2 years, that's a long relationship. 2 years is a while. I get it. So you might be a little more hesitant to leave. Like, there are plenty of situations where people describe their relationships and it's not good, and even though they know they should leave, the longevity of the relationship kind of gets in the way of that logical thinking. Like, obviously, I definitely think this might be a huge red flag. This might be a deal breaker for OP to be in this relationship, because him getting so angry over a child, over pancakes that he didn't even make. Like, if he made those pancakes himself, put a lot of work into it, yeah, it's still a pretty crappy thing to do, to yell at a child like that. But him being a little more upset is understandable. But it's your girlfriend made it; she can make more, or that's no big deal. But him not even living there and trying to dictate and control different aspects of a place he doesn't even live in, huh? That's ludicrous. I'm sorry. That is really, really strange. Now, it's been a little bit since I've been in a relationship, and me and her, the person I was in a relationship with, we didn't move in together. I didn't live at her house. I'd been to her house before, obviously, but we hadn't moved in, talked about moving in or anything like that. And so I didn't live there. He wanted to move in, but so maybe there's that aspect. Maybe there's some blanks that have to be filled in, which I'm unfortunately not fully aware about, because obviously I'm not in this situation, nor have I really been in a situation kind of like this, unfortunately. But it's pretty. This does not sound like a good guy. And this part, we didn't have this issue in the first year. It only started in the past year, I think. And also, now that I'm thinking about it, didn't have this issue. Hasn't had issues with other children, probably because he is in the mindset of him getting comfortable, to be able to who take out his frustrations on this child, this toddler, versus other people's kids. He knows he can't get away with that. What was I gonna say? But yeah, it seems like now that they're in year 2, now he's getting more comfortable. Now he's letting his true colors show. Now the mask is slipping, because eventually you get comfortable eventually, and so now that he's comfortable, being this big old jerk who doesn't even live there, isn't around, And I'm sure Kay is also very upset about what happened, and is probably saying to OP as well what we're all saying, that being, this guy's got to go. Oh, because this is a problem. OP, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know about this one. Like, I don't know about this guy. Like, I get it, you've been in a relationship for a while, but uh, um, but this might be a deal breaker. This might be over. This one might be it. You might have to turn around and not look back. And you know what? It's gonna suck, but at the end of the day, hey, if he's gonna do this type of stuff, and something that the person brought up, that being this, these aspects, got really mad, started yelling at her, say that those were his, left and ignored her for 2 days. You even ignore someone for 2 days over this, really? Over something like this, because you got your pancakes eaten by a toddler and you're throwing a temper tantrum over it. And then he said he would only move in if I distance myself from K and B. This part, he engages in silent treatment and tells you to distance yourself from your best friend, two tax abusive partners. As someone who's heard quite a few like abuse stories of like abusive partners, abusive relationships, and stuff like that, that is something I've seen come up quite a few times, of getting them away from their friends and family, whether it be moving cross country to a whole different state and kind of isolating that person so that their family and friends can't like influence and be like, hey, this isn't someone you should be with. Unfortunately, it's something I've heard a lot of times. It's something I've heard too many times, and that is so scary. Like this guy sounds like an absolute nightmare. OP, do not move that man in. Like obviously, you know, you're an adult. You do what you want. It's your relationship ultimately, but do not move that man in. And nope. You know what? I know it's your relationship, but screw it. I'm putting my foot down. Do not move that man in. Do not have him around K or B, because if he's willing to do this by year 2, what else is he capable of? Now, I know kind of my mind's going to the absolute extreme, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are, but yeah, what else is he capable of? This does not sound like someone that you need to be around, or someone that you need to be in a relationship with, or someone that you potentially marry and have kids of your own with. It's like, if he's gonna do this to somebody else's kid, what's he gonna do to yours? What's he gonna do to you? I would get out of here. I would cut this off and say, nope, this is done, because yeah, this does not sound healthy. This is scary. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This one kind of scares me a little bit, and yeah, that's no. This is a no. Oh, cut that man. Cut him. Not like physically. Only if you have to. For legal reasons, that's a joke. But cut this man off. Run, please. OP, please, run. Cut him and run, please. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this. No, what I'm gonna call this yet. Probably just stories of Reddit. It's or something like that. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss an upload. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see me read more Reddit stories, as well as some subreddits, some stories that you guys want me to check out and read here on the channel, and I will consider doing so. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace. Also, before I begin, happy Valentine's Day. Spend it with your loved ones. Peace.